Welcome to For the Love of Books, a podcast by Lanarkshire Libraries. Hi everyone, welcome back to the Lanarkshire Libraries podcast For the Love of Books. My name is Chris Wilson, the E-Services Librarian, and this is a very special week because this week is Bookbug Week. And so this week in this episode we are going to celebrate all things Bookbug. And to do that, I have managed to catch up with two very lovely people. One is Ruth Boreham from the Scottish Book Trust, who are the people behind the whole Bookbug programme. And also I caught up with Susan from Newmains Library, who most of you might know from either Bookbug sessions in Newmains Library itself or some of our online sessions too. So I caught up with both of them to have a little chat all about Bookbug. And Susan gives us a little bit of the perspective of being a parent going along to Bookbug, because she did attend Bookbug sessions herself with her little one, and also being the Bookbug leader and leading the sessions and telling you how that goes. And also Ruth gives a really good insight into all about the programme as a whole. For libraries, the main part of the programme is probably the Bookbug sessions themselves, but there's so much more to it, and Ruth really gives us a lot of information about that and about how the book gifting part of it all works, and how by a certain age the kids will have amassed a great little collection of books themselves. And it's a fantastic programme, and we can't really champion it enough, and there's nobody better to champion it than Ruth from the Scottish Book Trust herself. So she fills in and lots of really fun information about Bookbug to listen up and catch that now. So, hi Ruth, thank you for joining me on the For the Love of Books podcast. I feel like renaming this podcast For the Love of Bookbug this week, simply because it's Bookbug Week, and it would be worthwhile kind of naming it that for this week alone, I think. Thanks for joining along, and you guys must be super busy this week with it being Bookbug Week at the Scottish Book Trust.
Yeah, just a little bit. There's so much work that goes in from so many of my colleagues in preparing this week that it's a bit like Christmas. You do so much work beforehand in the run up, and then suddenly it's here, and there's the excitement and making sure everything happens, and finally getting to enjoy all of the hard work that has been gone into it.
So before we go on too much into Bookbug Week itself, we'll talk about Bookbug itself a little bit beforehand. So it's a huge national programme from the Scottish Book Trust, and for anyone who might not know much about it, do you want to give us a wee kind of quick overview of what Bookbug's all about?
Absolutely. Bookbug is Scotland's universal early years book gifting programme. We're supporting families to read, sing and play with their little ones from birth to give them the best start in life. We gift 4 bags before the child reaches primary school. There are 2 books in the baby box as well, so encouraging that even before the child arrives into the world, that bonding, that attachment between child and parent carer can happen. We know that sharing stories helps little ones' development, language, social skills, and that spending a few minutes together every day, be it singing or rhyming or sharing stories, really helps to build those bonds and develop relationships. And for me, the best bit is the fact that it is universal. Every single child in Scotland is entitled to this.
Yeah, it's a fantastic programme, and there's lots of elements to it, and for libraries there's quite significant parts involving like the kind of Bookbug sessions, and in some ways kind of the book, obviously kids getting involved in the kind of reading from the Bookbug packs and things like that sort of stuff and things. The Bookbug sessions themselves are hugely successful for us. I mean, I sometimes feel as if we could put on a Bookbug session every single day of the week, all day long, and they'd be full of people coming along to them. And some libraries we've got quite a lot of sessions running throughout the week. I think we run about 30 at the moment in total on a weekly basis, and we also do our weekly online session as well. Do you have any kind of stats that can show how successful that the kind of Bookbug sessions have been throughout the country?
Oh, I love a good stat. And I love a good Bookbug session. Bookbug sessions are absolutely incredible. 20 to 30 minutes of songs, rhymes and a story led by fantastic session leaders all across Scotland, many in libraries and community venues. We think that we will have about 400 sessions being run a week across Scotland, which is just phenomenal. We know that parents and carers and families and session leaders have just loved coming back to in-person sessions after the whole kind of pandemic that we've been through. But online are also just as valuable as well. And it's been fantastic to see those continue.
Yeah, I think it's been a really interesting thing to see the kind of online side of things develop a little bit, and how different kind of library services are doing them a little bit differently as well. It's really
Yeah,
interesting.
it's a very different beast, shall we say, doing an online bookbug session, because you don't get that same interaction. But we've
Yeah,
loved how leaders have just embraced that opportunity to still continue being in
yeah,
families' lives. And we know that certainly over the last 3 years, a lot of families have really loved the fact that they're seeing their session leader appear on their screen. It's been
yeah.
a lifeline for many.
Yeah, I think it's been that kind of sort of personal touch between the leader and things like that is something that really kind of does build up between the kind of kids and parents as well.
Definitely.
That is definitely something that's been very kind of important to kind of continue on with kind of the online sessions and stuff. Um, with the book packs themselves, Scottish Book Trust, as you kind of mentioned there earlier, it's really managed to ensure that kids get across the country get access to books from a really early age, haven't you? And actually, I forgot all about the books that are in the baby
The baby
boxes as
box.
well. So yeah,
Absolutely. Yeah. Well, there are 2 in the baby box, and then there are 3 books in the 4 bookbug bags that get gifted. So that means by the time a child is 5, they will have got 14 books
yeah,
from Bookbug, which is just phenomenal. And again, it's
it's
universal, so it's
brilliant.
every single child. And of course, we will hope that they will then go on to going into libraries and borrowing more books. But there's something so lovely about knowing these children have got their own books that are theirs, and they can read them again and again. And they can, we know parents and carers don't always enjoy reading the same one again and again and again, but repetition is so good for children. And there's just
Definitely.
something so lovely about knowing that across Scotland, even if, particularly at the moment with the cost of living crisis, there are at least a few books going to every single family, every
Yeah.
single child in Scotland. And then, of course, after Bookbug, there's Read Write Count. So P2, P3, we continue. Yeah, we love books.
Yeah. It's such a great thing. Like say, kind of being able to have that kind of little personal collection that kind of builds up through the years and stuff like that. It's such a lovely thing, and it is great that it is kind of available throughout the whole of Scotland for everyone. And I know that with my little ones, kind of getting them, it was always great to kind of just get those kind of free extra little books that kind of pop along,
Absolutely.
and they have been well loved in our household for sure, for definite.
And they're chosen by, we every year we have a panel of experts that come together to look at the books and decide them. So they are very well chosen from very high quality publishers, and they're just phenomenal books.
Yeah, and with all this brilliant success of the Bookbug program, it is only right that we should kind of celebrate it, and that's what this week is all about. With it being Bookbug Week, we are slap bang in the middle of it by the time we kind of put this podcast out. And where did the idea to hold an annual event for Bookbug Week come from? What was the idea behind that?
Woohoo, Bookbug! I think is where the idea came from. We wanted to absolutely celebrate Bookbug, but we also really wanted to shine a spotlight on the amazing work that is being done throughout the year, particularly with local partners running Bookbug sessions, so like with the libraries. So it's a chance to celebrate Bookbug, which is quite well known because it's universal, and then encouraging people to go into places like libraries and maybe take part in something that they haven't done before, and then they can carry on that relationship afterwards as well. It started off with just a day, and then we expanded it to a week to make it easier for local partners to do something as part of their regular Bookbug session as well. And we have a different theme every year, which is always good fun to come up with.
Yeah, and I do love this year's team. We'll go into that in a wee second. So what have Scottish Book Trust been doing for Bookbug so far this week?
It's all about sugarling and dancing. There are so many incredible things that we have on this week. So from Scottish Book Trust itself, there
Yeah.
is a quiz that you can take part to find out what nursery character your personality is most like. I was very
Ooh.
excited to discover that I am Tiny Tim. And what I love is that when you get told which one you are, it then links to the song about the character. So you can then join
Yeah.
in and sing the song. So I'm singing Tiny Tim the whole week. We've partnered with Tiny Happy People, and they have taken over our app for the week. And there are some new videos on there from Tiny Happy People with different ways of moving, so wriggling and bouncing and jumping and all
Fantastic.
sorts of things you can have fun with. Um, We have, very excitingly, we have worked with Sprog Rock. Again, they're an amazing group, and they have created a new video for us called Sounds of Shapes. So that video is available on our app, on our Song and Rhyme Library, on YouTube. It's great fun, and we filmed it with their nursery as well. And we have something I'm practicing a lot. We have a dance challenge on Instagram. Bookbug has been filmed doing some movements from different songs and rhymes, all in one go without stopping. And the challenge is to see whether you can do the same, film yourself and send them in to us. The illustrator, so every year we work with a different illustrator for the theme, and the amazing illustrator this year has done a little draw along as well, so you can draw a fish with her. She talks you through how to do that, so the video's on our website. And the incredible poet laureate Joseph Coelho, he's written a poem, and we are giving away 5 copies of his Luna Loves Dance book as well. But that's what we're doing throughout it all. We're absolutely pushing what's happening in the local authorities. We've got a webpage called Find Your Bookbug Session, and so all of the information is on there, so you can go and find your local library sessions, what's happening, anything special that they're doing throughout the week.
Yeah, we do have a few special kind of big Shugle themed sessions going on this week in some of our libraries, and also our online session that went out on Tuesday will be back a big Shugle themed one as well. So if you haven't caught that already, do have a wee look back and catch that. And it's such a great kind of theme. It gets the kids active, and you get to kind of share the songs and stuff like that as well. Thinking about the theme of Big Shugle, I'm sure there must be some great movement and dance, rhyme songs, and things like that people can learn this week. Is there any kind of favourites or recommendations that you can have? And don't worry, I'm not going to force you to sing them if you don't want to.
Probably
You can
a
if
good
you want.
idea. No, probably not. I would say one of the things that was definitely worth looking at is the illustration that Emma McCulloch has done for us, and just look at the different movements on there. But some of my favourites, I always love Wind the Bobbin Up. I think it's just one of those that as soon as you start doing the movement, people know exactly which one you're doing. The Grand Old Duke of York is really good as well for lots of stretching and bending and moving around. Incy Wincy for the kind of smaller, finer motor skill movements. And of course, you can't go wrong with a good old Shuggle Wuggle at the end.
There's some really good rhymes out there, and like I say, the online session that we did this week is by Susan, who will be following this interview with you, and she has done some great. She's done some great kind of filled it with lots and lots of movement songs and stuff like that sort of thing, and it's definitely worth catching. And you'll probably kind of pick up on a wee favourite from there if you do manage to catch it, that one. Now, one of the favourite parts of me from the Bookbug programme for me is the fact that the kids get the free books and things like that, and we touched on that earlier on. What are some of the favourite kids' books that the kids can expect to see in their packs kind of at the moment or coming up soon, if you know any kind of that are coming in soon?
Yeah, I've got kind of a favourite from each bag. I thought I would do it that way. It's a bit like being asked, Sophie's Choice, what is your favourite? How can I choose? So I've gone for one from each bag. In the baby bag, my favourite is Peekaboo Zoo. So you've got these fantastic giant flaps that open up and look at different animals. And I am a huge fan of elephants. And there's a giant elephant in there that opens up. So that's always good fun. In the toddler the bag, my favourite has to be The Whales on the Bus by Nick Sherratt. Just the bright colours of it, and it's the tune that everyone knows, but different animals in it. It's just a lot of fun. And then in the Explorer pack, which is gifted to 3-year-olds, the personal favourite here, How to Catch a Rainbow, because the main character in it is called Freya, which is one of the names of one of my nieces. So I kind of particularly like that. But she's going out, she wants to create a rainbow, so she's looking for the different colours. And I like that kind of sense of going out and exploring and seeing what you can find. But there's so many amazing books that we've given away in the past.
Yeah, there really is fun. It's great that publishers have got kind of quite so on board to support it as well, with giving those books away for free. It's fantastic that you've had that support. And there's loads of resources online for parents and things like that they can look up as well, isn't there? Like on the Bookbug website and on Scottish Book Trust's website, and there's also the Bookbug app that you've mentioned as well. So there's lots of stuff that people can look up and find out a little bit more if they want to find out more, isn't there?
Absolutely. The Bookbug app and the Song and Rhyme Library, which is on the website, are fantastic because they've also got the words to the songs and rhymes. And there's nothing worse than going, Old MacDonald had a, what did he have? I can't remember. So we've got all the words on there as well, which is really, really useful. We've got videos of some of the books being shared. We've got resources from Cool Scotland. So if people needed an additional support, then there are resources around that. We've got translated leaflets about Bookbug. So if you're working with any families that speak a different language, you could download and let them know about that. We've got information about the bags and who gifts the bags and at what age. We've got session plans for session leaders if they're wanting inspiration, book lists if you want to find out more brilliant books, which you can, of course, borrow from your fantastic local library. And we also have
Indeed.
as I've already mentioned, Find Your Session page, which just really highlights what's going on in your local area and also who your local Bookbug coordinator is. Each local authority has a Bookbug coordinator that we work very closely with and who are fantastic in supporting the programme. And they're often your first point of call if you're wanting to find out more about what's happening in your area.
Fantastic. It is really a great programme, and there's lots and lots of stuff out there that you can find out if you want to get involved in it, if you haven't already done so. I know there's lots of parents kind of find out about it at a very early stage and having a little one running about, so it's a great thing. But just whenever you were mentioning Old MacDonald had a farm there, it actually made me think about I once was told by a friend who was helping at one of the sessions about the leader of the session saying that they used to pick random animals that you wouldn't necessarily normally put in Old MacDonald had a farm, and one of them was a giraffe. And then just remember thinking, what on earth noise does a giraffe make? They had to kind of think on the spot to kind of come up with a random noise.
But that's also where you have the benefit of going, kids, what do you think? And then get the children to make something up. This is where you get them involved.
Yeah, Bookbug sessions are such a great thing, and libraries really love putting them on, and it's great that the Scottish Book Trust have come up with such a fantastic programme. And Ruth, thank you very much for coming along and telling us all about it, and we hope you have a fantastic rest of the Bookbug week. And anyone who's been listening, I hope you've had a fantastic week so far as well. But thank you very much, Ruth, and we will hopefully hear from Susan in the follow-up from this.
Woohoo, Bookbug!
So, Susan, you've experienced Bookbug from both sides, haven't you, as a parent and a Bookbug leader, haven't you?
I have, yes. Not too recently, but my daughter's now 11 years old. But I think when Beth was born, Bookbug was really the highlight of our week, and it was one of the kind of most important things I think we went to as a kid for her and also for me. And we get a lot out of it. And I've been in the libraries for I think about 14 years now, and probably a Bookbug leader for about 13 of those. So it's kind of like it's all a learning curve, and I'm still learning things now, and I still kind of find wee hints and tips. But I did take a lot from when I went with Beth as well, and that certainly did me in good stead over the years to kind of.
And when you started in libraries, did you want to kind of get involved in the sort of Bookbug side of things, or is that something that kind of you fancied doing it at first?
In all honesty, no. I have an older son, so I've got a big gap between my two kids. My oldest son's 21 and Beth's 11 now. But when I first started, he was just maybe about 5 or 6 or something like that. And I think it was my first day, and our boss Rosemary came up and said, "Well, you've got a child. Do you think you would like to have a go at Bookbug?" And I'm going, "What's Bookbug?" I had no idea. But Donna, who's a colleague at Wishaw, who does a lot of the Bookbugs for many, many years, I sat in with her and I was like, "Oh, yeah, okay." After you get over the initial kind of right, this is what this is. Yeah, I quite enjoyed it. It was good after that.
I think there's definitely worse things to do for a job than get to spend a bit of time singing and having fun with kids, I think. So, I mean,
Absolutely.
it's definitely worse things for sure. Let's chat a little bit more about your experience as a parent first. So, first of all, did you feel that it helped your children's development at that early stage, do you think?
Definitely with Beth. As I say, with Ethan, my older son, I didn't go to anything. So that was my first kind of experience of Bookbug as a parent, was taking Beth. I felt like Beth was always quite she was a very cautious child, so she wasn't like gung ho, and she was a late crawler, she was a late walker, she was never really kind of physical. But when we went to Bookbug, she loved it, and I think that helped her language so much and helped her have a relationship with books at like an incredibly young age that you wouldn't believe that the age she was when she tried to turn a page, and she just got it. And I think that really helped her with our development and our language. And I remember when she was like for the age of 1 till I think she was about age of 3, every single night at bedtime we'd to run through a full Bookbug session for the hello song, the story, and then she'd try and get extra songs out of me, and she just gets so much out of it. And I think that was a wee lifeline for me as well at that point, because it was just like sometimes you don't know what to do with new babies and you're just a bit like, oh, and Bookbug was coming from being a leader and then going into it as a parent. I found it invaluable for her and for me.
Yeah, do you think it kind of helped with the social side of things, bringing her out a little bit? You're saying she's kind of cautious. Do you think that kind of helped to kind of bring that out a little bit from her as well?
I definitely. I mean, she was never, as I say, some of my Bookbug colleagues out there will realise that sometimes it's just it's like herding cats. She can't get him to sit down, and they're all, running about crazy, which is great as well. But Beth was always kind of a bit more, just kind of sitting with me, a wee bit more reserved. But she definitely kind of made a wee kind of group of friends, and even if it's just for that wee period, it certainly helps just them socialising, and then they're looking for that person when they go, and it definitely helped her that way. Absolutely, without a doubt.
Yeah, and I think that's one of the great things about a Bookbug. It does kind of bring that out in kids, and it's good to see. And things like the language development and things like that. I mean, that's something that does play on a lot of parents' minds as well. Whenever they're kind of as my kid kind of progressing as they should and stuff. So it's great that kind of free session and lives can kind of help build that skill a little bit and get that out there for sure. A lot of talk about the benefits of Bookbug, as we were just discussing, tends to be around what for the child, but the parents get a lot out of it too as well, don't they? So, what was your experience of that?
Well, I might go off on a wee bit of a tangent here, but hopefully it'll come back to the point. I just think this is what something I think Bookbug, where it comes into its own a little bit, and especially after recent years with COVID, and parents. I see some of the mums and dads coming in, and they have lost their confidence with certain groups and things like that. I think there's a big myth around us all being just kind of naturals. You have a baby and all of a sudden you know what to do. I think that's one of the biggest myths out there, because it's a just trial and error, complete learning curve. We're all learning like crazy. And I think
100%.
That's it. And sometimes you go to these groups, and if you're maybe a wee bit socially anxious and you're walking into a mother and toddlers, and not all of them, but some of them, my experience was certainly, oh, this is horrifying. I didn't know who to talk to. I didn't know who to sit beside. I felt coming out of it a bit of a failure, like, because I've not done enough for them. And I felt that really when that was my experience with my older son, when I didn't know the Bookbug was there. But taking Beth to Bookbug and having something that's structured, something that's quite short, something that if you want to, you can go in and you can sit and chat. Or if you're feeling like, oh, I don't know if I'm there today, you can just sit and just participate, and you can come out of that feeling like you've done a good job for yourself, and you've done a good job for your baby, and you've done something that day for them. And I think that is huge in your kind of mental health. And when you're talking about a new baby and baby blues, postnatal depression, just taking that away from that and feeling like, I think Bookbugs maybe sometimes the development of the kids is obviously paramount, but also for the parents as well. It's a massive thing for them just to have that half an hour. Yep, I'm in, I'm out, I've done it. Yes, I feel good. And then that just translates translates to the baby or the kid, and they feel happier. And so I think Bookbug really comes into its own in that kind of sense of it. There's no kind of, you're going in and you have to chat and you have to, you know,
Yeah.
but you're still getting something out of it, you know.
Yeah, and I think having the kind of Bookbug leaders there kind of leading it and giving the direction of it, like you say, it's very structured in terms of how it goes along. So that it does hopefully take away a lot of the kind of anxiety of young mothers or fathers coming along to the sessions and kind of having to participate a little bit if they want to and things like that sort of stuff. So yeah, it's a great kind of wee section for them. And so that's probably a bit of a kind of hidden benefit a little bit from Bookbug, because you do kind of tend to see a lot of the promotion about it being for the children, but there is still that kind of the thing, a lot behind it for the parents too.
Oh yeah, I mean, I don't, I'm not shy in saying I did have postnatal depression with my oldest son, and you know, just feeling that guilt of I'm not getting out today, I'm not doing what I should be doing. And then with Beth, it was different because I had that wee outlet that I think I went to maybe 2 Bookbug sessions a week with Beth, my lovely friend Ruth in Cleveland, and then I went to one at Newmains, and it was just like, you know, you just felt that sense of, you know, I've done something today. And then you did meet the grannies next to you and had a wee chat, and oh, yours is doing that. Oh, all right, okay, and you feel a bit better about yourself. And
Yeah.
but as I say, some days you just go in and you think that I'm too tired to talk, I'm too tired to, you know, do anything else. But if you sit and bounce the baby in the knee and have a wee, you know, cross line, that's all, you know, it's so beneficial. And I think that is that helped me massively. And I've heard some of my mums saying that they're completely intimidated going into an environment where there's a big group that's already set and kids are running about. But the structure of Bookbug is just, it just gives them a wee bit of confidence once they know what's happening to come in and join in, you know.
Yeah, I know that whenever I used to do Bookbug sessions as well, I think that now I'm not commenting on your singing abilities. This is all about my own. I know that I can't sing at all, so even having that kind of like, not necessarily the leader in certain groups being the greatest singer, also kind of takes away a bit of fear as well, because you think, well, you don't need to be a great singer to take part in this, because there's Chris singing horribly, the little green frog for the group and things like that sort of stuff. So it does. It's a bit just a little bit more informal, I think, and kind of makes it a bit more friendly and welcoming. And I think also the kind of library setting kind of helps bring that in a little bit too, because obviously it's just a kind of friendly environment to be in, I think. So that's good. Now, do you think your experience of going to Bookbug as a parent has changed how you prepare your sessions as a Bookbug leader? Because you said that you were a Bookbug leader before going to it with Beth, is that right?
Yeah, that's right. And I mean, we're all slightly different when we lead the group, you know, and it takes a long time, I think, to find your kind of niche. And, you know, I used to watch other people do it and think, oh, I need to follow that. And then, so it took me a while. But I think when I started going with Beth, I had a kind of, I used to, when I was just leading the groups, I would have my session set out and I'd be like, we're going to sing this, and this. And it didn't matter if no one was listening, I'm still doggedly trying to get through and try to sing these songs, and nobody's, you know, it's absolute chaos around us. And I like, it comes with experience, you gauge your group, you know who's, you know, you need a wee one to bring them back in to sit in the knee, or you need a wee couple of baby ones. But I think going with Beth, it was always the warmth that came for Ruth. And sometimes I didn't care what she was singing or, you know, what she was doing. She just kind of, I was just happy she was there doing it, and we were able to help her by kind of joining in and making sure we we're doing our best to kind of help her. And I just kind of a light bulb moment thinking, you know, it doesn't have to be like, oh, you've got to sing these 15 songs today and you've got to say this story, this big long story. Sometimes you just need to change it halfway through and you need to be a bit more relaxed and have a bit more of a, yes, I definitely took that away for Beth, because when I took Beth, because I just thought, well, why am I so hung up on, you know, singing all these songs when really all the parents want is a wee bit of fun and a wee bit of, you know, it just helped me lighten up my sessions a little bit and stop beating myself up if nobody was listening by the end and stuff like that, you know. So I definitely took that away from just being on that side of it, and then seeing, you know, like as I say, you're just getting out for the day, you're just having a chat, you're having a sing-song, a wee bond. That's all you really need, you know, at the end of the day.
Yeah, definitely. And so what do you hope that both the kids and parents get from coming along to a book session at Newmains Library whenever you're leading one?
I mean, first of all, and I hope it comes across, and I do try and get everybody when they come in, but I hope they feel like welcome. And if I see a new parent coming in, I'll always just go up and try and engage and have a wee chat with them first and say, this is kind of generally what we do, you know, and don't worry if you don't get it right away, because I know we sing a lot of songs and we all know the songs, but if you're new to that, that's quite, you maybe feel a bit like, oh, what is this? But first of all, I would love them to just come in and feel a sense of warmth and a sense of welcome. And I don't want them feeling kind of intimidated by the environment or anything, or feeling like, you know, and also I hope they are getting kind of a little bit of sense of pride out the fact that they've managed to get there for that day. And sometimes I see my new mums and they're laughing, and because I'm thinking, you've managed to get a toddler and a baby ready today, and you're still here for 10:15. Congratulations, you know what I mean?
That is a challenge.
Absolutely. You know, so I'm always kind of trying to acknowledge these wee things and say, you know, you've made it. That's all you need, you know. Also, I mean, if they can come along and learn a wee bit about the language side of it, the development side of it, a wee bit about the social side of it. I don't do it every week when I'm doing my book bugs, but sometimes I'll just drop it in about kind of things that I've learned for the conferences, about how to pass on the rhymes and all the good stuff that's doing in our wee brains, and all the kind of rhymes and stuff, that to kind of chat a wee bit about that. And I do talk a lot about kind of the bonding thing, you know. Doesn't matter, as you say, I can't sing a note either, and I'm just like, don't worry about it. One of the conferences I was at, and they were talking about the babies don't care if you can sing. Your kids don't care if you can sing.
Yeah.
They're just like watching you and taking all that in, all that, absorbing all that language, your lip movements, all that stuff. So you know, don't worry about that. And probably having fun. And finally, I think that my biggest thing is, you know, my mums and dads and grannies walking away from that thinking, do you know what, I'm doing okay as a parent. You know, I'm all right today, and we've done a good job. You know, hopefully that's a big list of stuff.
Yeah. Well, that's a great thing about Bookbug. There's so much to get from it, I think, as well. One of the things that I loved whenever I was doing the sessions in the libraries was seeing the progression as well of the little ones. If they come along from a kind of early age and keep it coming for sort of a year or so to the sessions, you do kind of start to notice their development, and they maybe start off, they don't know the songs, or they don't know the actions and things like that. But then as time goes on, you kind of start to see that in them, and that was one of the things that I loved as a Bookbug leader, kind of seeing that kind of little development of the kids who came along to their sessions on a regular basis, and it made it really fun for me as a Bookbug leader.
It is incredible when you see them coming along, and then they just kind of, you start tapping your knees at the start, and then all of a sudden they just start joining in with you. They know what's coming, and they just stop right away, and they're like, oh, right, here we are. And it's really, really, it's quite rewarding to see that you know, just that wee notion of clapping the knees has triggered something in their wee minds, and think, all right, okay, time to go, time to start, and their favourite songs and stuff like that. It is amazing and very rewarding. Yeah,
it's definitely one of the, I would say it's definitely one of the more fun tasks, if we'll call it, as a library assistant or supervisor in the library service. And it's definitely one that I think a lot of our staff get a lot out that participate in it, and hopefully the public get that from the coming along. Now, so you've been involved a lot with our Bookbug Online sessions. You even went viral with a couple of videos with some huge views on it on YouTube. I know I like to embarrass you about this every so often to mention it, but how do you find doing those sessions whenever the kids aren't there? Like, is that something you've enjoyed doing?
It's something you kind of feel like you have to go over very quickly. I remember like when it first got kind of floated to us in COVID, it was kind of like, right, okay, just do a Bookbug session online. You're thinking, what? No way. But again,
I think you were our first one, if I remember correctly. I think you did our first one.
Hopefully they're a bit better for that. But I mean, it's a completely different thing. But I do remember in COVID feeling like I had a niece at the time who was just 2 in COVID, and I remember thinking, you know, if I can just like don't worry about my terrible singing and just put the pride aside for 2 minutes and deliver a wee session online for maybe somebody who is crying out for just something to keep the kids amused during COVID. I thought, right, let's just go over ourselves and get on with it, you know. It is even now, I still get nervous doing a book bug. Doing an online book bug when you're just standing there and you can hear every note you're going wrong, you know, every time you forget a word or it's a completely different beast. But I enjoy it now. It is good fun, but it's very, very different. And I think you just kind of need to just go over it, just do it and forget about it. And, you know, you don't need to bounce off. I think that's the difference, you know. Sometimes when the kids are doing stuff, you can bounce off them, but you're just like, right, okay, let's just carry on, and, you know.
I did one of our videos at one point. I think whoever was supposed to be doing it that week was off or something, and I did it in a bit of a rush to kind of I found myself sitting there thinking I can't as I was recording it I became very aware of the fact that I thought I can't remember the words of Five Little Ducks here, and this is going out.
It's such a strange thing, I know, and the amount of times you trip over your words and you're thinking, oh no, it is very strange. It is very strange. But again, like you're saying, it was almost a bit of a privilege to think, right, well, you know, I know how to deliver a book bug session. Let's just do it. And especially during COVID when there was nothing else going on, and I really felt sorry for a lot of the mums out there who must have been thinking, and dads who are thinking, what do we do with our kids all day, you know? So I mean, I'm glad it's continuing, and I'm glad that still a few people are watching it. Hopefully, you know.
Yeah, no, definitely. I think there's definitely people that enjoy watching it here and there, and hopefully that will continue for going.
Yeah.
And if anyone who is listening to this podcast, Susan starred in our last Bookbug video, which went out on Tuesday during Bookbug Week. So do have a wee look and back and watch that if you want to catch her dancing about for the big shuggle. So
She's a terrible singing.
Now, would it be a chat about Bookbug if we didn't talk about some favourite picture books? So what are some of your favourites that you have for your sessions at the moment and that you use for Bookbug at the moment?
My favourite one, and I stole this from my colleague many, many years ago. She put me onto this book, and it is one I do religiously because I just love it. And it's called Cockaboo, and it's basically a cockerel. Yeah,
I love
forgotten how to crow. Yeah, and the mums will know. I know that off by heart now. I don't even need to look at the words now. But it's his cockerel's forgotten how to crow, and then he has a go at Moon, he has a go at Ban, and you know, eventually. Oh, I don't want to spoil it for anybody who's not read it, but you know, happy ending.
That's a fantastic book. Yeah, and it's one. It's like you say, like I did that one quite a lot as well, and you do kind of start to learn the whole entire book without needing actually the book there to tell you. I've actually I've lost the copy that I had of it somewhere along the lines, and. But I've still told my kids it a couple of times, and they laugh their head off because it's hilarious making the various different funny sounds, and they just love it.
Yeah, it's so good, that one. I love it. I love that one. I've also been doing a little bit of when Marvin gets mad, and it's just a wee bit about feelings and stuff like that. And there's a sheep Marvin, and he's looking for an apple off a tree, and his friend eats the apple, so he gets mad and grows big mad horns, big mad teeth. So it's quite I quite like that one because we get to talk a wee bit about, you know, it's okay to be mad sometimes, just as long as you know can find your happiness again. So that's quite a good one as well. I've done that a few times recently as well. So yeah, just an endless list of all the books, you know. But
yeah. I think that's another benefit of being a Bookbug Leader is you get to spend a bit of time looking through picture books and appreciating the brilliance that is the picture book genre, because some of them are absolutely fantastic, and there's so many great stories out there, and illustrations and whatnot and things, and some of them like Cockaboo, some of them are just hilariously funny, and you just get to make silly daft sounds and as you read them to kids. It's brilliant. Fantastic. Well, Susan, it's been great talking to you, and great finding out a little bit about both your experiences as doing Bookbug as a parent and also as a Bookbug leader, and I'm sure all of the people who come on to Bookbug sessions at Newmains will enjoy sessions going forward, and also people can watch out for more Bookbug Online videos, I'm sure, coming from you amongst in the months to come as well, as we keep rolling that out a bit more. So thank you for joining me.
No problem. Thank you very much for having me.
So there you go, guys. I hope you have enjoyed listening to both Ruth and Susan and found out some really interesting stuff about Bookbug. I couldn't believe it when Susan mentioned Cockamoo. It's such a great book, and if you haven't heard or read Cockamoo before, you definitely need to catch that and check it out. For anyone who is looking to find out about Bookbug, you can find out all of our sessions on the Culture NL website and look at the library section there. You'll find out all the sessions that are currently running, and we have had a few extra ones for Bookbug Week itself, and there's probably time to catch one of those if you haven't managed to do so already. I think there's probably one still to go, and you can also catch Susan's online session as well, which is all very big sugary in celebration from Bookbug Week itself. That's all we've got time for just now, guys. But do watch out for future episodes, and if you have enjoyed this one, do leave us some feedback using hashtag FLB podcast, or drop us a little email to librarypodcast@northland.gov.uk, and we'll be back again soon. Thanks for listening, and happy Bookbug Week.